All right, man, peace. And it's been a while since I've been doing videos, but I guess I wanted to come out of my bird cage, out of the dark, and start up again with a lot of opinions that I had towards a lot of my views towards a lot of current trends that's going on in society. So, I didn't get the chance to do this, but for a while, I've been wondering about this whole entire controversy about Grand Theft Auto 6 and, the whole Grand Theft Auto franchise, for lack of a better term, and that a lot of people had mixed views about the new release of Grand Theft Auto coming out in 2025. And, today I wanted to take my time to understand, people's opinions, which I thought a lot of it was like far-fetched. I heard certain people that would say that, oh, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be the ruining of our culture, and there's a mockery, and that, oh, a woman protagonist being like the subject of Grand Theft Auto 6. Oh my God. And I thought to myself, certain people, certain things that people said, I really thought in the back of my head, like, shut the fuck up. And the reason for that is that it's always been a controversial opinion about any release about Grand Theft Auto coming out. Grand Theft Auto 3, I can't remember if they made such a big deal on it, but after Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and about how, violence in games, and the protagonist killing people, killing hookers, having sex with hookers, and about how it's about the drug crime, drugs, and this, that, and third, glorification of all that, and plenty of video games before the Grand Theft Auto series, which those that don't may not know, the first Grand Theft Auto that came out in 1997. And then, you had the one that was in 1999, I believe, and then Grand Theft Auto 2 that came out in 2000, and then got introduced to the 3D world in 2001 with Grand Theft Auto 3. And then everything pretty much took off from there. Vice City, and then San Andreas, and then the whole entire thing about it going back into like the 3D, then the 4D world and stuff like that. And what I always found phenomenal about each of these games, or like the first phase of the Grand Theft Auto series, was that supposed to be the catalyst to a lot of the fictional cities to be more like the real cities. So to give an example about how Grand Theft Auto 3 started off, it was mainly about Liberty City, in which it was a lot of controversial things that had to happen and change before Grand Theft Auto 3 came out as Liberty City, because around that time in 2001, that was after the release was right after the 9/11 attacks. And so they were going to have the cars in a certain model, and there was going to be a mission where Claude Speed, the protagonist, had to find a way to have a plane blow up a building. So they had to change that. They had to change the skins of the LCPD cars. Like a lot of controversial things that happened in Grand Theft Auto 3 series before the release date in October 22nd, 2001. Then on top of that, about how you had someone like Hillary Clinton who wanted to sue Grand Theft Auto for the controversial hot coffee mod, which is nothing more but a play. And I forgot the words to say to this, but just basically a sexual innuendo to advocate for the idea that the protagonist is having sex with an NPC. So we get into this whole entire thing about the woke culture now, and Liberty City, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Liberty City being New York, Vice City being Miami, Florida, and then San Andreas, California, more loosely, cities in California, and then places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and then Las Vegas. So you had all of those quadruple cities dipped into the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas series, in which there was more of a realistic view, with Grand Theft Auto 4 that looked more like New York. You had Grand Theft Auto 5 that was more like Los Angeles, and then Grand Theft Auto 6 is supposed to be more like Miami. So I'm going to be taking a look at this article just to give you a perspective on something I find remarkable, and then I'm going to have a conversation about it more in depth. So, Pete, Grand Theft Auto 6 will be ruined by woke Woke culture. Fans complain with no evidence. Shout out to Richard. You'll often find many folks on the internet love to have a good old moan, even if the foundations of said moan are unfounded. Go woke or go broke is an all too familiar saying nowadays, and it often sparks a heated discussion of favorite movies and TV series, video games, and the like being ruined by apparent woke culture. Though to be fair, there is a certainly a strong case to be argued in some instances. However, some are already blaming the woke culture for potentially ruining Grand Theft Auto 6, even though official details on the game are yet to be released by Rockstar Games. So going down in the article, fans will be hoping to learn more when Rockstar Games debuts the first official trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, which they already did, early next month, where we might learn the truth behind some rumors, such as the game featuring two playable male and female protagonists named Jason and Lucia. Discussions are taking place on Reddit from users who are concerned that Grand Theft Auto 6 might go woke, but is there anything really to be concerned about? For example, especially post-2000s, and even more so with Grand Theft Auto 5, the Grand Theft Auto series is more inclined to poke fun at the woke culture, and I suspect much will be the same with Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto has always been societal satire, yes, and at times insensitive, but crude? Nah, that's something pretty good writing in there. At times, if you actually switch your brain on, said Comrade Yusha. Referring to the post that sparked the discussion on the thread, you were probably just a kid going pew pew, haha, murder civilians, or haha, booba at the time, long before you were politically activated or aware of many of the things it was providing commentary on. Thankfully, it seems that much of the Reddit thread is against the notion that Grand Theft Auto 6 that will push a woke agenda, and if the next game in the Grand Theft Auto series does follow that direction, it will garner massive amounts of damage to the reputation of the Rockstar Games formula and will surely do the company no favors for the long term. My favorite part is he assumes the game is going to be different and woke simply because a woman is a lead character. That's the entire basis of his argument, exclaimed Caliban's Daydream. It's literally the most anticipated game ever, and there hasn't even been any official information about it yet. These people are delusional. Replied, my name is Jeff962. At this time, the Grand Theft Auto 6 release date hasn't been announced, but hopefully we'll learn more next month. Grand Theft Auto 6 is expected to be released on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series XS. And you know, my thing about it is exactly what they're saying. Grand Theft Auto franchise has always been a lead maker into pushing a lot of boundaries. I actually found a lot of the protagonist stories pretty amazing. You know, one of the stories, let's even begin with this, and this would just be an outward thought, just getting my stuff off about every single protagonist I thought was pretty cool. Starting off with what I remember at first, Grand Theft Auto 3. Haven't really remembered Grand Theft Auto 2 or Grand Theft Auto, the first one. But Grand Theft Auto 3, Claude Speed, a mute, does not talk, but is a dangerous man who carries out all these missions around Liberty City with the Italian mafia, to the Yakuzas, to the Jamaicans, the Bloods and the Crips, which is not really that. They're called Southside Hoods, and just the exploration of the city when even he almost got portrayed by Salvatore Leone, I think his name is, the Leone family, right? Claude Speed and having to deal with that. His mistress or his wife, Salvatore's wife, gave the message to Claude Speed that he has to get out of Portland and go to the next island, right? It was a phenomenal story for what it was back in 2001. Then we change up over to Tommy Vercetti and Grand Theft Auto Vice City, in which he is coming out of a bad drug deal, and then he's having to deal with being around Vice City, where he has to kill all these people who betrayed him and go on these series of missions to handle the drug trade of the 1980s in Vice City. Pretty cool, if you ask me. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas meeting the market with a bigger map, more opportunities, more exercising, more of these like playable things that the character can have. CJ Johnson, whatever his name, CJ from San Andreas. The fact of the matter, going through the Grove Street fams, battling the ballers, and the phenomenal story about how he came from going in the gutters of Compton or wherever he was at in Los Santos to being a businessman at the end of the story with dirty money, but nonetheless, smart investments. Grand Theft Auto 4, where it starts to feature, and let's not forget Liberty City. I think it was Liberty City Stories. That was a good game. Vice City Stories. That was a good game. I've practically played almost every Vice City that came out. Pretty much. I did. Grand Theft Auto 4, Nico Bellic, an immigrant from another country trying to find his way in America and going through these different missions to make ends meet and helping out his cousin that owns a taxi shop, right? That going on, and then him eventually finding the man that betrayed him while he was fighting the war back in his country. Grand Theft Auto 5, I thought, was a very phenomenal game in which you started to have 3 protagonists. You didn't even just have one, you had 3. You had a father who did a robbery back with his 2 friends, and that one of his friends is actually a psychopath who is who's looking for the father, and they eventually find each other. They're both with friends, and then one that comes along, which is Franklin, a black man from Los Santos, who's looking to make ends meet as well. You get all that in the storyline. Now with this game, I think what's safe to be said was I like the fact of the matter that Grand Theft Auto is pushing the needle. Something that I really wanted to mention that I found remarkable is that you had someone like Sneeko who wants to get on this whole entire dumbass woke train and talk about, oh my God, a single mom being a protagonist and that she's going to be calling the shots and that the man is going to be emasculated. And it's just like, Sneeko, stop with the bullshit. Let's really be real about it. Grand Theft Auto's franchises had to push the needle and started with something new in order to continue the game series. I actually thought that there was coming. I knew that they probably was going to have a woman protagonist, or there was going to be something of a woman doing something. But it's funny, like men like him say that, but if you refer to Grand Theft Auto 3, Claude Speed had to take missions from a woman. Okay, there was at least 2 times he had to take missions from a woman. Same thing that happened in San Andreas, Vice City Stories, and the rest of these franchises, man. It's the same thing that had to happen in there. You understand? So my thing about it is that when you have the critics that talk about the woke culture, you have to still be a business. So certain things that's in the business is going to be required. There has always been satire in Grand Theft Auto series, and they never are going to stop. It's just that you're always going to have snowflakes that is going to have something to say about anything that comes out. Oh, well, you're talking bad about feminism, or why is there the fact matter that there's a woman twerking on top of a car while it's driving? And then, all these like facets of just weirdo statements. It's like this, man. You're living in a country where we are insensitive to violence, to crime, to prostitution, to sexual deviancy, to a lot of things that is just how it is. And we still try to treat it as if it's taboo in this country. So what I would say to this is, for those that want to buy the game in 2025, go ahead. I heard a lot of different things about this game. I heard that there's going to be not just the map itself that's supposed to revolve around Miami, Florida. You'll actually have the chance to travel to different places in the game. Make sure you have enough storage on your gaming console because it's supposed to take up 200 MB. And besides that, I believe this is the making of a great game. I think that I really like the fact of the matter that they have the 3D graphics, more of the AI images and all these different things to help out with the game becoming more solidified, more realistic and all this other stuff, because every game they improve. And I wouldn't expect anything from it. Now, I've always thought it was pretty funny, and I always thought it was pretty much cool, the symbolicism of why landmasses is surrounded by water, why it's an island instead of mountains and all these different places where it's inaccessible instead of just being a big body of water. Now, the explanation that I think Rockstar Games said is that It's to remind people how small-minded Americans are, that they believe that they're the greatest country in the world, or how they're so secluded to their land, they don't believe anything else is out there. That's the explanation I remember hearing from someone or hearing from different articles, but that's just me speculating. Otherwise than that, I would say this. I don't think Grand Theft Auto 6 is such a horrible game because they started to have a female protagonist with a male protagonist. I don't think so. Dudes like Sneeko is just pushing the needle, and I think it's complete bullshit. And I think that at the end of the day, for a great game and for a great empire, they have to be willing to take the next levels and next step to make their game phenomenal. Let there be a lot of representations of different people. You had an immigrant, you had a black man, two black men, you had a storyline with someone who was a father, you had a storyline with someone who was a psychopath and came from another country to America to deal with crimes and still had a business. You had a mute. You had all these different groups of protagonists that made the game very special and the storyline special. So I don't expect anything but greatness from Grand Theft Auto 6. Tell me what you think about it. Like what you heard, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Peace.